Hey friends, it's me, Kortni with a K, and welcome to the Daily Drop Podcast. I wanted to start this show off just showing appreciation for Black History Month, because if it was not for the generations before me, I would not be able to sit here today and do what it is that I am doing. So now, let's get into the show. Tonight's show, you definitely do not want to miss this. So people always ask me after seeing me on television, what was life like on the show? What was it like after the show? People ask me questions about my relationships and my viewpoints all the time. Well, tonight you're in for a double treat. Not only am I going to open up and share my experiences with you, I have one of my castmates from Food Network Worst Cooks in America joining me in on the discussion. And they are going to open up and share some of their personal experiences and tell you what life was like on the show and give you a little bit of what's going on after the show. And we're going to get personal and talk about relationships. So, without further ado, let's get into this drop discussion, this hashtag asking for a friend statement. Hey friends, the following in which you are about to hear does not represent and is not affiliated with any company, any brand, any show, any other name, anything that is mentioned. The following is strictly for entertainment purposes only and are only the thoughts of the people who are speaking. Okay, y'all, so I have someone that is very special to me. You all already know him. Most of you know him from Food Network. Some of you know him as Kortni and Norman. I know him as my castmate, my great friend. So y'all, please help me give a warm welcome to Norman.
Thank you. That was sweet.
So Norman, how have you been? Oh, of course. Only the best for the best. But how have you been since Food Network?
I've been good. I had a local cooking show once I got back.
Okay.
We went 2 seasons, and then it was over.
But you had 2 seasons. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's real good. I only had 1 season of microwaving with Kortni. We may have to bring that back. Yeah, we may have to bring that back, but I think I may need help because I'm pretty sure on your show you weren't microwaving. You were actually really cooking.
Yep, really cooking. I have to say that I did learn some things on worse, that show.
Well, that's good. That's good.
The music clause is really what helped me. I really realized that when I was cooking before then, I would cook some, start cooking, and then start chopping up stuff to cook. And while I'm chopping up stuff, I'm burning what I've started cooking. So that helped me out a lot.
Well, I wish I could say, because what I will say is that they taught us a lot. I just didn't retain a lot. So it wasn't up there doing like, especially like Chef Tyler, he taught me a lot. I just, it was just one of the, like, I kind of like, for me, I kind of feel like how, like some people like look like a deer in the headlight when the camera rolling, like as soon as they get on, like they know stuff, and then as soon as it's time to go, they're just like, that's me in the kitchen.
Right. But tell me this. Have you cut through an avocado again?
I have not even purchased an avocado.
There you go.
So, true story, prior to Food Network, I never had touched an avocado before. So
Really?
I didn't know what an avocado was. You know, I'm from New Orleans. We're not like really super big on avocado. Like we super big on seafood. You know, crawfish, shrimp. You know, beignets. You know that's our thing. You know, Creole food. The guacamole that was some Texas. You know, I learned about that in Texas, but I still didn't know about the avocado. Like I didn't even realize the avocado was in it. I just knew that the green stuff was good.
But I'm saying that's something you learn. You ain't gonna ever do that again. So
right. Now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know. Thanks to the people on Twitter too, because I didn't know when we were filming. Like they just let us do what we were doing. So it wasn't until we actually watch it play back, and then you hear the feedback from other people that I was like, whoa, okay, you're not supposed to do that. But I am so happy to have you here, Norman, because so I'm glad I have you here to help me out with this hashtag asking for a friend segment. And for those who don't know, that is what was formerly known as the letter of the day. But I got tired of everybody writing in letters and nobody want to say who they were. Everybody anonymous because everybody's like asking for a friend because, you know, it's never the person who writing it. Like, you know, they asking for a friend. Right. So instead of calling it letter of the day, just changed it to hashtag asking for a friend because we know it's never for them. It's always for somebody else.
It's always,
such a caring world. But that's okay. That's what we here for. So today's hashtag asking for a friend. A woman said that she requires her boyfriend to provide his phone code or keep his phone unlocked in order for them to stay in a relationship. And she wants to know, is this something that is common? Like how as a man, we want like a male's perspective. How do you feel as a man hearing that from a woman saying, in order for you to be in a relationship, you better keep this phone unlocked or I need that code. I need to be able to access that phone on demand.
She wouldn't be my woman. I mean, that conversation would be real quick and done. That's crazy. That's kind of goofy.
You said that conversation would be quick.
Yeah, it would be real quick. Bye. that was it. You listen. If you don't trust a guy to the point where you need his code, then that's telling you something right there. If I'm in a relationship with a woman and we're just in a relationship and I feel the need to get her code at that point, that means I don't trust her at that point. I'm going to leave her alone. You get the hell on. What kind of goofiness is that? How old is this woman? Or
she didn't say.
This friend?
She didn't say, and she's asking for a friend. You know, it's not for her.
All right, she asking for a friend.
She's looking out for her friend. So we don't know. But let me ask you this, Norman. Would it change anything if, and I don't know if this part is true, this is just hypothetically speaking, I'm just wondering, if by chance, maybe, what if the guy like cheated on her or something and maybe that prompt this conversation? Like, I don't know if that's the case, but would that change anything?
I'm going by me. If I have cheated on you and you still take me back, and now you're requiring me to give you my code, leave me alone. Don't mess. Why would you stay with somebody you don't trust?
Hey, point taken. Norman said he on the grown man stuff. He ain't got time for this.
My thing is simply the only way I can see myself saying, hey baby, here's my code. I'm incapacitated. I can't move, and I want you to call my family members or somebody. Get my phone. Here's the code. Call them.
Right.
I don't understand. Ain't nobody calling my phone for you. So, what would you need my code for?
And if they were calling your phone for her, you could just give it to them. Right. It still wouldn't require the code.
Oh, you got to call. Yeah. Right.
And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree. Like I wish I disagreed just so I could give another take on it. But I agree with you, because for me personally, like, I just don't want to give nobody my code. And then it's the crazy part, I'm not even doing nothing. And to be honest, if you had the code to my phone, I can promise you are not going to read none of my text messages, because I am known for making a long story longer. So my text messages be like a whole journal. No straight dude reading that. It's going to be long. Unless there's a male version of Oprah Winfrey and he just loves to read. You're not reading that. The people I'm texting don't even text me back because it's too long. They just call me. They be like, girl, that is too much. What were you trying to say?
Right, what were you trying to say? Right.
Like, if it's that long, you need to call.
But there are people out there that feel they need someone's code, really?
Obviously, yeah. This woman said in order for her boyfriend to stay in a relationship with her, she required that he has to give her the code, and to make it fair, she's gonna give her passcode as well. So
I don't want your passcode. That's your passcode. This is my passcode. That's your phone. This is my phone. I don't want it. Why would I don't?
So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that maybe, perhaps she feel like if there's nothing to hide, then what's the issue?
Okay, I get that, but my point is, if you don't trust me, why are you with me?
Right. I can totally respect that.
If I'm gonna cheat on you, me giving you my code, it's not gonna be like, oh, I can't cheat now because I gave her my code.
Yeah, because you know how that song. I was just about to say that. I got 2 phones.
I got a phone for who I'm cheating with, and this is the phone. Hey, this is my code. Go through my phone.
Yeah, so you think you're doing something and you still not.
You're not doing anything, right? You're just showing your insecurity. See, that sounds like an insecure person.
You know, so I guess to answer her question, this is not something that you should be doing. So this is not something you should be doing, because it's from the sound of it, you know, are you speaking just from you, but would you say that in general, like, what about the men that you know around you, Norman? Like, do you know any guy that would be like, do you know anyone personally that's okay with this, like, that live their life like that?
I don't know any guy. If a friend of mine pop up and say, I gave my girl my code, I'm going to be like, wow, I'm shocked. And we got to have a conversation about that. Why? I need to know, what was your mental when you said, here's my code? But I don't know any guys that would get their code up. And what I'm saying, they wouldn't get their code up, and it's not that they're cheating.
It's just the fact that you questioning their loyalty.
Right. Yeah, right.
We're not gonna understand that, because it's just like you said. If you feel like you're concerned about being with me and you have this much of a reservation, then why are you here?
Why are you here? Right. How's this a relationship? You know, we can make this friends with benefits, and you can go do what you do. I do what I do, and you find your man, let me know.
But you know, being in a situationship sometimes don't change the rules. Sometimes, you know, it start off like that. We're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's just a situationship. Like, you know what it is. She's supposed to know what it is. But then feelings somehow get involved, and requests, you know, to start feeling themselves, and the requests come out. Like, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Yep, I'm aware of that too. But again, you got to stick to your guns. This is what we agreed upon. This is what it is. Just because you change doesn't mean I'm going to change with you. You evolved into something that's different, not me. So that's the way it is. And so now that we're no longer a match, then somebody got to make the decision to go on about their way.
Exactly.
That'll benefit both of you.
Yeah, because it's not fair to her to hold on to it when in her mind it's one thing, in your mind it still was what it originally started as.
What it was, right.
And Okay, so
like
let me this has nothing to do with this question per se, but you talking about that just making me want to ask another question for anybody. Let me see, hashtag asking for a friend, because it's definitely not for me, but for somebody out there listening that want to know. If a woman put themselves in a situationship, or not just a woman, a man too, anybody. If someone's in a situationship, and just to define that for anybody who don't know what that is, that means y'all don't have any title. It's clear that y'all not looking for a relationship, but you're more than friends. And that's just basically the new way of saying friends with benefits, because the friends with benefits kind of turned into okay, you call me, we call each other when we want or need something, and that's it. But the situationship is like, we can go on dates, we can do things, but we understand that it's not going to evolve into anything else. There's no future with this. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, someone or the woman like says that now things have changed. They were in this situationship, but now they feel like they want something more. How, if at all, would you advise somebody to bring that conversation up?
Well, I would advise them, because I would advise them to bring it up as soon as possible, as soon as they start feeling that way. Because the longer you stay in a situation and you don't address it, then the person that you're in that situation is going to believe you're comfortable with it. And then when you can finally come out, because most of the time when the person finally come out and say, hey, this is not what I want, it's a problem at that moment. And then the other person's wondering, where the hell this come from? So when you have those feelings, you should put it on the table right there. Say, look, I enjoy what we have. I'm enjoying what we have, but I want more. Is there any way? Do you see us going any further? Give that person the opportunity to tell you right then, right now, how they feel. And if they give you that
if they hesitate, you already know.
Right. You already know. And if they tell you, no, I like things the way they are, you leave, because it's not going to grow the way you want it to grow. So that's for your benefit. You should leave.
And that's easier said than done, because I feel for some people, like once they insert themselves in a situation, for some people they just don't do well with change. Like they just get so comfortable with having someone that they're afraid to leave that someone unless there's someone else to replace that person.
Right. Listen, I had the situation where me and the young lady were talking about marriage. We didn't want to get married. We was cool. We were in a relationship, but we didn't want to get married. Both of us didn't want to get married. Cool with that. Eventually, she wanted to get married. And I told her I was where I was. But we kept going along doing the same things we were doing, and that wasn't good. Because we went from a situation that was perfect. It was great. It was perfect for both of us, to now we're arguing over stupid stuff because somebody's not getting what they want.
Right. And it kind of go back to that, like, if you love it, let it go. that old saying, like, if you love it, let it go, and if it means something, it may come back. But because people change, and maybe if the other person changed later and you're still in that same mental state, then maybe there's a chance to rekindle. But in the moment, should walk away, because I think that's how the signs of crazy kind of start, like when people be like, oh, she crazy or he crazy, and it's like, okay, but what led them there?
Right. They just get the crazy time.
Yes.
They had a ride.
I think it's, for a lot of people, it's starting their mind, and what happened is when one person see one thing and somebody else sees something opposite of what that person see, and even if the conversation has already been had and they realize they're not getting what they want, but they're not willing to let go of what they have, even though it's not all of what they want or what they expect, they hoping that they could change somebody, and when they realize they can't change the person, it started making craziness develop.
Because you start looking at all that time you invested.
Yeah.
All the people you rejected, hoping that this person changed, and this person hasn't.
And that's why I think if somebody bring that conversation, like if it was me in a situation and a guy told me, if I agreed that we're going to be in a situationship, at the moment he tells me that he wants something more than what I signed up for, and if I'm not willing to go for something more, if he won't leave, I'll leave. And the reason why is because I don't have time for somebody to be sitting out in my bushes and all that stuff. I don't have time for it. Like, look,
what you say, Kortni? You want somebody outside in the daylight with a flashlight?
No, in the daylight with the flashlight, right? Tell them, I'm like, no. I don't need that. You know, I already have to deal with stereotypes. I don't need to be late because I'm trying to deal with something. I'm walking out just because you know me. I'm on time, but I'm not early. I'm on time. So you do that. You sit. This is a true story. I actually had this happen before. I had this guy, and it's crazy that I'm talking about this with you, Norman, because this happened after Food Network. So after I went on Food Network, I did not know this guy personally. He did not know me. He knew me from the show. And that was it. So if you just see me on TV, you only know one side of me. And especially if you just see me in the kitchen. Like, I'm clueless in the kitchen. But I'm not clueless in all aspects of life. That's just not my area of specialty. So anyways, when he saw me in person, I guess I wasn't what he had built in his mind. Like, he thought we would go together. Like he was like, yes. Wait, this is crazy. So I saw the man before, right? And he was like, hey, you're Kortni from Food Network. And I was like, hey, yeah. And he was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I found you. That should have been a red flag, but I didn't think nothing of it.
I found you.
I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, oh yeah, small world. I was like, okay, well, hope you have a good day. And he was like, oh, I will. And then I came back. This man was still at my door.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, hey, are you my neighbor? He's like, no, I don't live on this side of town. I'm like, wait, what? What? What you mean you don't live on this side of town? Oh, no, I was just trying to find you. This man had been following, and I stopped getting on Snapchat as much because I used to get on Snapchat and I would put my location and I didn't think anything of it. Like, I would just check in the restaurants. I would just carefree because, prior to being on Food Network, I had no reason to live life guarded. Like, I just was Kortni. I wasn't like Jenny from around the block. I just was Kortni. And when I came off of Food Network, in my mind, I still was just Kortni. The job I had before I started filming was the job I had when I finished filming. So as far as I was concerned, I still was the same person because life for me was still the same. So I still was living my normal life, never thought about having to be conscious of what I post on social media until I had developed a stalker and I dropped all the breadcrumbs for him to follow because I literally was posting everything I did. And then get this, I didn't catch that he was following me on Snapchat until I got on Snapchat to talk about him. I got on Snapchat and I was like, this is crazy, y'all. Hey, friends. Hey, y'all. Oh, my gosh. So this guy is at my door. You wouldn't believe it. I don't even know how he found out where I lived, y'all. Mind you, I'm saying this and I'm like snapping right at the leasing office where in the back of the snap,
Oh,
somebody, like, so people were messaging me. They're like, girl, we can see where you live. Are you at home now? And I'm like, yeah, I'm at home. They're like, well, that's how he know where you live. And then he messaged me and was like, oh, did you want to go for dinner? I'm like, what the heck? When he messaged me on Snap and was like, do you want to go for dinner? And I'm snapping, calling you a stalker. And you're messaging me. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to have to change this privacy setting.
He probably didn't even get that you were talking about him. He probably thought it was somebody else.
I'm thinking so, because he was unbothered about it. He's like, so, what's up for dinner? He was unbothered. Unbothered.
So he called you like chicken or fish. Which one?
Right. He's like, what you want? Look, I watched you on Food Network. You want that avocado? I'm going to make sure it's already cut.
Now, I got the one person that he was a guy, and like, he wanted to be my friend, but I think he wanted to be my friend because he wanted to meet you.
What?
Yeah, because I noticed he was being friends with everybody, and he didn't have you as a friend.
Oh my gosh.
He asked me about you. I was like, what do you mean? I say Kortni doesn't live in Detroit, so I don't know what to say.
You know what? And people are so smart, because I was so naive to this. Because I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes, like if somebody send me a friend request and I have no mutual friend, I won't accept them. But then if I have a mutual friend, I'll be like, oh, okay, that's so and so friend. Oh, that's Norman friend. Okay, let me go ahead and accept them. They know Norman, they must be cool.
Well, they have to have more than just. Usually, when I accept them, they have like it's maybe 5, 6 of the cast members as friends, and I know that's where it's from.
Okay. Yeah, you see, I'm trying to get better with that, but then after having because that guy was one of many. So I had a couple of stalkers, and I'm to blame. I can't blame them because, I just was real naive about the things that I was posting. Because, like I said, prior to getting on Food Network, this was my everyday life, and that was just what I did, and I never had a reason to. I never had nobody just come up like that for me. It got to the point where I had to have a cousin start coming over to my apartment. Because one time, because this brought me back, I told you I make a long story longer when I was talking about how I leave literally on time. So one time I was late for work because I had a guy that I did not know. He was sitting on the hood of my car. He was sitting on the hood of my car waiting for me. And he looked exhausted. He looked tired. I was like, how long you been here? He was like, I didn't think you'd ever come out. Let me tell y'all, if I don't have nowhere to go, I'm not going nowhere. And I'm even worse thanks to COVID. Like now that DoorDash, yes, I'm not leaving the house. If I don't have to go to work, I travel for a living. So when I have a day off, to me, it's like traveling is not what I want to do. Like it's almost like somebody who work in the mall. When you're off, you don't want to shop. So I travel for a living. So when I'm off, I want to relax. So I don't know how long he was waiting because I had 3 days off. But he looked so tired. He looked like he had camped out for Black Friday or something. Like he looked exhausted. And he was literally just sitting on my hood, barely up. And I'm like, I'm not thinking he waiting for me. I'm like, oh, excuse me, sir. And he's like all startled and oh, you're here. And I'm like, excuse me, can you move? So then he got in front of my door, in front of my car door. And he was like, no, you can't go right now. I mean, I've waited a long time for this.
Wow.
Yes, that happened.
You got some extra.
That happened. That was a true story. And I literally had to get my cousin my cousin became my unpaid bodyguard. He had to start.
I was saying, you should pay more attention in the house when I was teaching them how
Yeah, I should have been paying attention to these self-defense classes Norman was giving out. Because some of y'all don't know, Norman, wasn't you a bodyguard yourself?
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
Yes. So if y'all ever need some protection, Norman, you should start doing online classes.
Online classes won't work. You gotta be able to, the person gotta be able to feel what the damage that they're doing.
That's okay. I was just wondering, because with the Zoom.
It looks good, but if you're not doing it, have the mechanics behind doing it, they won't work. So.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Norman, for giving a male perspective on everything, and just to kind of go back to. Oh, don't say that. Don't say that, because I'll be like you said, anytime. All right. Well, Norman's gonna be back. He said it, so we're gonna hold him to it. We're gonna hold him to it to keep getting these males' perspective. And just to add one more thing to that phone call situation, another reason why that just came to my mind that has nothing to do with me worrying about trust, kinda, but I wouldn't want to give my passcode, because I know sometimes I give my passcode to my sister real quick, she's like, oh, what's the passcode to your phone? Sometimes she's doing something with my phone, and I just give it to her just for her to get in, not thinking nothing of it. Well, next thing I know, my phone end up in the hand of a kid. And it hits me when that bill come and they done played all these little games that's not free. So for that reason, I am protective over my passcodes. I'm like, no, look, I don't know who you're gonna have, because the older you get, the harder it is to date somebody that don't have kids. And I don't mind kids having a tablet. I just don't want kids with my phone.
And your phone, right? I agree.
These little games, they be adding so many games, and the next thing you know, that stuff just sneak up on your bill, and you're like, what is this? And I'm looking at the people, I'm thinking Verizon have a problem. I'm like, what is this on my bill? I never played this. And then I come to find out later, it was my niece. And I'm like, oh, then I got to apologize to the customer service. I got to call the other person and be like, hey, can you tell the person that was working at the shift about 5 o'clock, let them know I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, thank you again, Norman, so much for coming in and giving the ladies of a male perspective and just letting us know what it is. Because these people hashtag asking for a friend, because it's not really for them, but at least now they can tell their friend. Don't ask for the passcode. Just don't do it. If you really, really want it, just look real hard when he's typing it in, and if you catch it,
if you don't trust him, leave.
Ladies, it's not crazy if you're not caught. I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't listen to me. You're gonna be single. Don't listen to that.
You're gonna be single.
Okay, just don't do it. In conclusion.
Right.
All right, y'all. Well, that was the hashtag asking for a friend with Norman. And Norman, let people know where they can find you if they want to reach you.
You can reach me on IG, the Real Big Spiff, on Twitter at Icewater007, and I think that's it for me right now.
All right, so y'all can find him on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll be sure to put his usernames in the comments below. So thank y'all for tuning in and listening to the Daily Drop Podcast. I'm your host.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Norman, for being here. Oh, hey, you said anytime, so you're going to be back.
Yep, anytime.
All right, y'all. I'm Itzmekortni, Kortni with the K.